see a number right at the top that represents your carbon footprint. And then we have a large catalog of almost 100 different high quality offset projects that we sell, projects all over the world, like planting trees, pulling methane out of coal mines, making wood stoves more efficient. We have all sorts of different projects. You can see them at acclimate.com/offsets. And so companies can then go in, buy the projects that they want to offset their footprint every month.
All right, this is another episode of the Founders Pack Form Your Own Pack podcast. My guest today is William Loopesko from Aclymate. How are you doing, William?
I am doing well, thank you.
I think you mentioned you are in Denver, and that you a couple of years ago, you went through the Techstars program.
Just over a year ago at this point.
Terrific. Well, we've interviewed a lot of Techstars and Y Combinator guys, so we're excited to have you. But maybe for people that don't know, who is William and what is Aclymate?
Yes, my name is William Loopesko. I'm the CTO. I'm one of the co-founders of Aclymate. We are building software to help businesses do their part to fight climate change. So our software makes it really easy for any business, but especially small and medium businesses, to figure out what their carbon footprint is, to figure out ways in which they can reduce it, and then to buy offsets for the part that they can't. We think that climate change is really the big crisis of our time, and that we all need to take a part together in working to solve it. So that's what we do.
Very interesting. It seems to be a high growth area in the sense that there's a lot of attention on it, but I guess I'm not too familiar with a lot of the climate tech that's out there. So what was the big problem that you recognized, and what was kind of the background of the founders that decided to go tackle this?
Yeah, so my co-founder, Mike Smith, he started another company before this that was developing carbon offset projects. So basically what they were doing is they were going into areas that had been burned by forest fires, and they were planting trees to sort of accelerate the regrowth of the forest. And in the process, those trees pull carbon out of the atmosphere, and that generates a carbon offset. And so he did a great job with that. They ended up planting the largest carbon reforestation project in this country, 2 million trees in Northern California. That was a couple of years ago. And so they realized that they needed to come up, if they really wanted to tackle climate change on the scale that it needs to be tackled, they needed to come up with something scalable, and that involves technology. So my background before this was working I had started a previous company that was IoT company in the pet space, but I was a software developer, know how to build technology, know how to build software products. And so I teamed up with my co-founder who had this great idea, in the climate change space, and he brought me in as the developer to go out and build this dream. And so we teamed up about 2.5 years ago, and now we're here.
So if someone decides to use Aclymate, like what's kind of the experience? Like what's the first point of entry, and then what would they kind of use it? Is it like a daily thing? Is it like a monthly thing? Like how does this integrate to what they're doing?
Yeah, it's like a monthly thing. Not really any more than that. So we have an onboarding process where you'll work with one of our friendly climate navigators to work to like sort of get all of the data that you need into the platform. For example, we send an email to all of your employees to figure out how they commute or how they work from home. And that automates the process then of calculating all of your commuting and home office emissions every month. We ask you information about your offices, your utilities, sort of all that baseline stuff. If you have a QuickBooks account, we can link directly to your QuickBooks account, and we have an integration. We have an algorithm that can take financial data and convert it into emissions data.
Oh, interesting.
So there's a process of going through and getting everything set up. But then once it's set up, basically you log in every month, you check to make sure that we got all of your data right, or you input any new data that you had. So if you took any flights in the last month and we weren't able to read them out of QuickBooks, you could put some flights in, basic stuff like that. And then you'll see a number right at the top that represents your carbon footprint. And then we have a large catalog of almost 100 different high quality offset projects that we sell, projects all over the world, doing all sorts of cool things like planting trees, pulling methane out of coal mines, preventing wood stoves from making wood stoves more efficient. We have all sorts of different projects. You can see them at acclymate.com/offsets. And so companies can then go in, buy the projects that they want to offset their footprint every month and become a climate leader. And then you can display on your website that you've been doing the right thing for the planet. And that helps with your marketing, or it helps to be able to show your investors or your employees that you are aligned with their values. So
amazing. All right. And then how are things going for you guys so far? And how did you get your first customer, out of curiosity?
yeah, so things are going well. We launched the platform about a year and a half ago. Spent the first year just building. We have over 300 users on our platform now. And we're working on converting more and more of those into paid users. I think we're into like 30 to 50 ballpark for paid users. So we're growing. We're still a small team, still hungry. Our first customers actually came to us through just our own network. And they were really the ones who helped us identify that this was a problem that needed to be solved. These companies, they care about doing the right thing for the planet, but there was really no good solution for them to be able to do that. And so they knew that Mike, my co-founder, was doing this carbon offsets thing. And so they came to him asking him for help on how to do it. And he said, hey, like, we're building this great software solution. Let us show it to you as soon as we're ready. And so we already had at least a dozen, maybe closer to 24 customers lined up waiting to use our product as soon as it was ready to launch. And they actually helped us, through the different rounds of early testing of the product and given us a lot of feedback to make it into the product that it is today.
That's terrific. All right. So if you could offer other founders only one piece of advice, what would that be?
It would be that nobody invest in ideas, people invest in businesses. And so there's a lot of founders out there, and I was one of them when I first started my first company, thinking like, I have this amazing idea and it's so brilliant that investors will just throw money at me. But that's not how it works at all. You actually have to, ideas are easy, businesses are hard. You actually have to start implementing the idea. There's a lot of different ways to do that. If you're a developer, the easiest and quickest way is probably just to build your product and start getting customers on board. But even before you have a finished product or something that's built, you can start signing up customers. You can start doing a lot of the work that your product will eventually do for them. You can just do it by hand, manually, while you're working on getting the product built. Software really is just a way of doing repetitive tasks at scale. And so if you only have a handful of customers, you yourself could just do those repetitive tasks for them, but still show that they're getting value out of that, and that, you can then replace that manual task with software to be able to scale the business. So you have to do something to be able to show that your idea is more than just an idea. Otherwise, nobody's going to care.
That is great advice. And that's consistent with what we kind of like evangelize, which is rapidly prototype, go talk to real customers and investors, and be comfortable with going early.
Exactly.
Excellent. So what has the role of partnerships and or community been in your success so far?
Oh, it's been huge. A lot of our customers have come to us through the channel partnerships that we have. So we're really well positioned in our space where we have a pretty unique offering. There aren't a lot of other products that do what we do specifically for the segment that we do it, which is small businesses. And so we've been able to go out and get a lot of great channel partners on board with us who are doing other things in the space. Like there's this outfit that, they go and they certify businesses as green. And they look at a lot of the things that we don't look at, like water usage and waste and, all of these other things. But for the carbon accounting tool, they really didn't have a good solution. And so they've partnered with us, and like we are now their carbon accounting tool of choice. And they like just bring customers into us. And a lot of our customers are coming straight from that partnership. And we have several more of those in the works. So we would not be where we are today without the partners that we have. And it's been a huge key to our early success.
That is amazing to hear. All right. I want to be conscious of your time. What is the best way to get in touch with you, and who do you typically like to talk to?
The best way to get in touch with me is on LinkedIn, and I get a ton of stuff on LinkedIn. And so the best way to actually get me to pay attention is if you don't sound like you're trying to sell me something.
Okay,
Because if you do, I'll probably.
yeah.
You know,
As soon
but
as you
if you're
put
genuine,
CTO in your title, that's happened to me.
exactly,
Like,
exactly.
I'm like, whoa, what's going on?
Shoot your title, and you'll get
Yeah,
3 to 5
that's
people
funny.
every day trying to sell you crap on LinkedIn.
Right.
So, if you are genuinely interested in what we're doing and you want to somehow talk about that without trying to sell me something, just make that clear in your approach on LinkedIn, and I definitely will pay attention. Otherwise, I will probably just ignore it. And we like to talk to, that's if you want to talk to me directly. If you want to get in touch with Acclimate and you want to learn about how we can help your company do its part to fight climate change, acclimate.com. I think it's hello@acclimate.com. We are super easy to get a hold of, and we want to talk to anyone who cares about fighting climate change and doing what's right for the planet.
Amazing. We will include those details in the show notes. The final thing is, as you know, when we meet interesting people on the podcast, we'd like you to nominate another interesting person. We talk to investors or founders of scalable ventures. Who would you, William, like to nominate as a future guest?
Absolutely. So we went through the Techstars sustainability program last year, and so I could really nominate, you know, pretty much anyone from that program. But if I had to choose one, I think it would be Carlos Gaitan of the company Benchmark Labs. They're doing some really amazing work, and they would be fabulous guests for you.
Amazing. Okay, Carlos, you've been nominated as a future guest. We will accept that. We look forward to that introduction. William, thank you so much. I do want to send you an invite, by the way, to try out Intros by Founders Pack. That's, as I mentioned to you before, it makes introductions between members of Founders Pack, which are typically founders of scalable ventures. So you get to kind of a bit of a peer group. So I'll make sure that I send you that. Otherwise, we look forward to following your journey.
That sounds great. Thank you so much.